we're into the Western Conference now. That's all in the East because you're in the Division 2 in the East as well. So we have covered your good self. So not your, you've not got your own team this week, but we do have the Western Conference, and we'll start off in Division 4 as usual. So the Dwarfie Stane Division. This is a division where the only way is up. You can't get anywhere. You don't have to worry about getting relegated in this division, and that's the main thing. So you got to look to be going up the way. So we kicked it off with the Cork Red Army winning with just 168 points. There we go again, as we were highlighting. You can win with these scores. Beating the Plymouth Assassins, it was a very close one. I don't know if the score corrections have went through yet or not, but if they haven't yet, then that could be one that would maybe be in danger of switching. Then we had the Gloucestershire Wolfpack. They hit the 236 mark, so great score, beating the Newcastle Magpies 200.92. The Rhymney Cardinals, they got a nice win with 197 points against the Fulwood Patriots, who only get 150. The Birmingham Patriots, they got off to a 235-point start also against the Peterhead Bloody Jets, 173. The Clemson Marines got 185 points, and that was enough to see off the Bangholm Sharks, who got 174. And then the Trinity Flyers, 213 points, beat the Q Kings at 174. So again, the scoring all very tight. Everyone see the 160 or the 166.1 for Cork Red Army probably would have lost to everyone else bar one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you score below 190, and that was me this week. I think I scored 185 maybe, and the person I beat scored 180. But yeah, the 100. If you're scoring below 190, I think you're winning. You're stealing a win. If you're below that 190, 185 kind of range, that's you beginning to steal wins. So those people that scored below that and won, they will be really happy.
Delighted, because you'll score better than that as well as you go, as the season goes on. So if you, at the end of the day, a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter if you get 120 points in one or 230 points in one. If you win, it's a victory, and that's the main thing. And I think this one here, that with the Cork Red Army here, this is highlighting the whole wide receiver thing we were talking about. If we go back up to the wide receivers that they've got here, because you would think Jefferson, Collins, and Waddle, that's a great wide receiver room. And take Jefferson's touchdown away, and they've scored very, very, very average, all three of them. And they must have bigger weeks ahead.
And and you don't know what's going to happen with Ingram right now. That injury, people are quite scared of his injury, so might have to look. I don't know what his other tight ends are, but and Jennings injured as well, so he's got a couple of worries there, because I don't know the full ins and outs that Jennings injury either, but I know that Ingram one, folk are kind of worried about that one.
I've actually seen people dropping Ingram this week, surprisingly. I'm not at the stage of dropping him to agency yet, that's for sure. If you've drafted Ingram, you've drafted him pretty high up. He was maybe 6th or 7th tight end off the board. So, to be dropping him at this stage, I think, is a bit hasty, but I agree with you. He's a little bit of a worry there. Tooting, now that's he's had a big boost this week with Bigsby moving over to Philadelphia, so that's opened the door for him big time. I think Tooting owners are going to be very happy this week.
Well, I tell you what, the other team had Mims on the bench, and I was saying to Johnny before the show started, I've got Mims in a couple of leagues I'd really like to do well in, like a couple of leagues I've prioritised, obviously, that I want to win, and I've got Mims in both of them, and I'm really worried about Mims, and it's not because it's if he's fumbling, he's got so much competition, it's like he might lose it. If you're fumbling about, he's just going to lose his job, So even if he's getting lots of snaps,
he's number 2 spots on a Shagley peg, isn't it? And don't get me wrong, I picked him up in our home league, the Show Me the Money League, So I could do with Mims having a good season, but I agree. You've got the likes of Franklin there, who's going to be knocking on the door of that spot, and there's so many options there. Ingram as well, obviously, as an option for Nix, and Nix was pretty slow off the mark this week, shall we say? That was it was a worrying performance. Is he maybe going to hit that sophomore slump that so many of them do when they've had a good year one?
I know it was him and the Panthers QB as well, Bryce Young. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like he turned a corner. Like, see, like in Superflex leagues, I kind of went quite strongly on Bryce in the sense that when I drafted him, I was that confident on him. Like, I wasn't fussed about picking up a third quarterback. I was quite happy having like a quarterback, then having Bryce as my second. And after week one, I'm only in like a couple of Superflex leagues, but like Bryce scored me 5 points, and I'm just like, oh, this could be really trouble here.
It did not look good, did it? It looked like he was kind of the early Bryce Young and not the kind of back end of last season Bryce Young, you know. So, but I mean, it was a tough defense. It was up against, you know, that Jags defense does look a lot better this year. So we'll see how it goes as it goes forward. I wouldn't be panicking just yet. I'm not panicking with Bo Nix either just yet. There you go. I mean, there he is there for the Gloucestershire Woolpack in the 236. But so that's a great score with Bo Nix in the quarterback slot. So he's going to have much better weeks. Derrick Henry's just going to be a beast again, isn't he? And Garrett Wilson, certainly he looked like, you know, Justin Fields looked pretty decent. I mean, that
Oh,
Steelers
it looked
defense isn't
so good,
awful.
man.
And I thought Justin
Oh,
Fields looked very good.
honestly, see, I watched a bit of that game, like the second half of it, and Fields, man, he was throwing these balls into tight windows, and he had the velocity for them to get in there. He looked great, and that's just his passing. I'm talking about his run, just he looks really good. So if he plays like that the rest of the season, he will win people leagues. Fields, you know, he looked really good. But that's the Newcastle team. They must be sick. They scored 200 points, and they ended up losing. You know, the Newcastle Magpies. I mean, Jay, you know what I mean? You did really well. You ran into like a 236. That's going to be one of the best scores and across all of Orkney. You know what I mean? So he's just unlucky. If he puts up 200 points every week, he's going to win probably like 9, 10 games. So he was just really unlucky.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's playoff. That's making the playoff points. That if you score that every week, you'll make the playoffs. That's for sure. You're right. You know, it's just a bit unlucky. You know, like Sir Jacobs there, he'll have better weeks in 17-30. You know, I mean, we just kind of chucked it the second half because it was already in the bag. You know, obviously Jamar Chase there. There's much better weeks ahead there for Jamar Chase as well. Even Mike Evans. I mean, 13 points. It was, I mean, Mayfield was saved by the 3 touchdowns that he threw this week, but I'm not sure I would be jumping up and down if I was sitting on Mayfield at the moment after the week 1 performance. I mean, Atlanta defense is not great, and he done fine. He done okay, you know, he done fine, but yeah, the Bucks just don't seem to look like the same team they were last year. Certainly out of week 1 for me anyway. So yeah, I'd be worried if I had Evans. More comfortable with Ibuka, I've got to say. I think he's going to have a monster season. I agree, pal.
Sorry, I've got him in the background. He's watching TV in my
And
room.
no,
But
that's absolutely. That's
I definitely agree about Booker. Like
Diggs
if
as
you've
well. I mean,
drafted him,
Diggs, surely, if you, with Stefan Diggs as well, if you've brought in, if you're big on May this year, then surely Diggs is going to have a big season because there's not much. I mean, everyone goes on about Pops Douglas, you know, 2 catches for -yards, but a touchdown, and that got him out of jail this year. Diggs is going to be the man there if they're going to go. You know, if May's going to have a big year, I think Diggs has to have a big year as well. So I'd be quite happy if I was sitting on Diggs at the moment. It's first game back after a bad injury as well. You know, I only see it getting better for him this year.
well, we'll say, see players that didn't perform that were like you were hoping for, but they were on losing teams. I think you can usually coaches want to change things up. So if you've got a player that was on a losing team and they weren't involved much, look out for week 2 because these coaches are going to change things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's it. I mean, well, as I say, the overriding thought always at this stage of any season is don't panic. You know, you've done you looked into things in the summer. You've picked the guys that you think are going to have good years, not the guys that are going to have good week 1s. You know, so you just got to go at it, and yeah, and stick to your guns and hope that the guys come good. I mean, don't get me wrong, some guys won't come good, but I think it's too early to be getting rid at the moment. I mean, if we look here, you've got Samson on the bench. Well, he's going to be big until Judkins comes in, isn't he? Because Ford looks terrible. Imanor,
definitely.
he's the number 2, but he had the most targets for Tennessee.
He's one that I think if you
already got
that Titans boy, see if you missed out on some players, I think he's one you could go and try and pick up now. If he's on your waivers. Absolutely. But like you were talking about Mayfield, I think Mayfield was one of those ones. He actually had quite a bad game, but he scored a lot of fantasy points. So sometimes you get players like that. Like Kamara's been one of the last 2 years. Saints have been awful. Kamara's like, it's not his fault, but he's had like 10 receptions for like 50 yards. It's like, I know it's a crap start line, but he's got 10 receptions. He's getting you a lot of points.
I've got Kamara all over the place this year. Exactly that. Yes, they're terrible, so they're going to be dumping it off. They're going to be running the ball as much as they can, until they're out the games. And that's going to be all Kamara. So, yeah, roll me up with some Kamara,
Definitely. Let's see a couple other games in here. Let's just see if there was any other close ones. Let's keep going down. Oh, there's a close one there. The Clemson Marines. So that would have probably went to the last kind of game as well. That might have been. They both would have been watching that. That's funny, Gibbs. But 10 receptions. That's all his points right there. Just 10 receptions.
It's the least yard for double-digit receptions from any NFL player in the history of the NFL. No one has ever had less yards from double-digit catches. That's how much he got absolutely pummeled by our lot. Jack Best, that was I drafted him in a lot of dynasties, and I'm a wee bit worried now because he doesn't look like the man. But certainly Etienne looks like he's going to now be a shrewd draft pick from where he was getting taken and what's happened in Jacksonville now.
See, what I will say about Etienne, and I know, I think it was pretty split. Most folk were like, you're either on the Bigsby or the Etienne side, right? But see, for me, what never made sense for me is that, see, before the last season, I think people forget how good Etienne was. Like, he wasn't just a good running back. He was one of the best running backs in the whole league. And then, yes, he had a terrible season where he didn't look right. I think there was a lot of talk of him carrying injuries and obviously that coaching team that was there. See, for me, it always made sense for them to go with Etienne, because why wouldn't you? Like, why would you not give the guy the chance? He wasn't just a good running back. He was one of the best running backs in the league who had one bad season. For me, it just made sense for him to be the guy that got the chance. But I'll be honest, I am surprised they just got rid of it. Like, I'm surprised they didn't. Like, I thought it was going to be more maybe 60-40 or 70-30 split. I was as shocked as anyone that he just got everything. I wasn't expecting that after the preseason, I'll be honest, and I definitely didn't expect them just to shut Bigsby out the very next day. So, like, Etienne owners, they're over the moon right now because that's his job until he fumbles it away or gets injured,
Absolutely. I mean, it's only going to be injury that takes him off him now, I would think. But there you go. Here's the difference in this game again. And up a wee bit, Johnny, sorry for the defence. It's, I mean, I say it often, but defence, well, everyone says defence wins championships. But the defence, if you can get two solid, always going to score you 20-odd points, the defenders in, it's going to be the difference in a lot of games. And here you go, it's the difference again here. There was a 10 points difference in the game, and you've got Wagner's 19.5 against Bernard 7.5. There's the difference. There's the game winner. That's it right there. So, they're not just a chuck away positions. They're not just in there to just throw any old thing at it. You have to pay attention to defenders and how they're scoring if you want to do well in this league.
Definitely. What you're looking for, regardless of
three quarterbacks.
What I will say is, regardless of position, like, you really want, if it's a DB or a linebacker, you're wanting them to get about 8 or 10 tackles. That's what you want, because that's going to get you around 18, 20 points. Well, there you go. Wagner got 10 tackles. He got 19.5 points. So you're wanting between 8 and 10 tackles for your defense. If your defense is not giving, the defender's not giving you that, you really just want to be changing them, because, you know what I mean, that is it. It can cost your lineup. So
Massively, and do you know what the thing is? There are players in every agency that are going to be getting 10 tackles a week. There are many defenders who score well. There are the difference makers as well, and if you don't have them, you're not really going to get them from agency. But you'll definitely get solid from agency. So if your guy's not turning it out, if he's turning out 2 or 3 tackles a game, you got to go to agency. There will be better there. Go in, have a wee look about, like Johnny was doing there. Look at what their previous scoring is. Look at what they tend to get, and if you can find a guy that's getting 8 to 10 tackles a game, he'll do you a solid all season long, because there will be times that he gets into the backfield and he gets that quarterback hit or he gets that sack, and that just piles it all on. For the DBs, if you can find ones that have got 10 tackles a game, they're going to get the odd interception, they're going to get a wee pick six every now and then if you're lucky. So definitely, you've got to base it around the tackling. That's your that's the breadwinner in the defensive positions, is how many tackles they get. But you have to take into consideration the other ways to win points as well, and as I say, 10 tackles a game, Bobby Wagner will get some quarterback hits, Bobby Wagner will get some sacks along the way as well, so very comfortable punching that type of player in, but you've got the ones that, the DBs, my problem with the DBs, see your Sauce Gardners, the real tough DBs, quarterbacks tend to throw away from them, so they're never involved anyway, so they're not going to score you the point.
You're wanting the DBs that play safety, is what you want. So you're wanting like a Buda Baker, a Nick Crofts, these kind of guys, because they are making tackles. But that's what I did so that was my waiver wire this week. I got John Johnson. I paid the 70 fab or whatever I paid for him. And my other 2 pickups were linebackers. I picked up the Bucks linebacker, and I picked up the Rams' new linebacker they got for Atlanta, that Landman. So that's as I'm saying, because my linebackers did all right, but I got kind of lucky with one of them, and I didn't have a sub one, so that's what I've done. Week 1 waiver wire, I picked up 2 linebackers, and I'm hopeful that'll be me for the season now with a bit of luck.
I mean, that's it. That's what you want, because you want consistency in those roles. You want someone who will score you the points, but as I say, they have to have a high ceiling as well, because there will be guys that knock it out. But it makes such a difference that they've made a difference to this game. In fact, it's won this game. The difference of the points in the IDP is more than the win ratio. So it's a big one. But why 3 quarterbacks in the bench? Martin, go on and explain it to me, because I don't understand why. It's a 1 quarterback league. Johnny, show me the quarterbacks in the agency here. I'll bet your team China are starting quarterbacks in the agency still, despite having 3 starters in your bench. There you go. Wilson's there, Flacco's there, Rattler's there. I mean, not guys that you're over the moon about punching in, but they're there. They can fill in. Why do you need 4 quarterbacks in your squad? Explain it to me, Martin.
And let's be honest as well, like if you only had 1, for example, there'd be another 2 in the pool as well, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, like I had Dak, who had a terrible week, right? He only scored 12 points, right? And my second quarterback was Geno Smith, who had a good week. He just scored, was it 30 points Geno Smith scored or something? Well, on free agency there, I've just dropped Geno Smith to pick up an extra, even though Dak had a pool, because obviously I think Dak's going to have a good week this week, to be honest. I think his matchup's pretty good. So I think Dak's going to have a really. And then going forward though, I could never, I've got CD Lamb. I could never start Geno Smith ahead of Dak. I really, because I've got that start. I can't do it. So Geno Smith, I took him. It made sense to have him in the draft, but that's me dropped him. He outscored my quarterback, and I've still dropped him week 1 in agency. Sorry, I'll let you go over the matchups of Division 3, and I'll quickly go and deal with my 4-year-old for 2 seconds.
Hey, man, no worries.